Hey everyone, I'm Teresa. Welcome back to my channel, Lost My Thread. Today I'm going to be sharing with you the 3 dresses I made for #ProjectDressAGirl. I want to give a quick warning that I am going to be mentioning sexual abuse and human trafficking in this video, so if that's not something you want to watch, then please do feel free to click away, or you can move forward to the next chapter where I just talk about the dresses that I made. I didn't really feel like I could make this video without mentioning those things because honestly that's a big part of why I decided to take part in this project. If you're not familiar with it, Dress a Girl Around the World is a non-profit international organization. Their aim is to try to improve the lives of children all around the world, particularly those living in poverty. The idea of how you can support this project is to sew either a dress for a girl or a pair of shorts for a boy that will be sent to somebody who could really use them, and quite often they go to people who will never have new items just for themselves if they don't get something like this from the organization. I'm someone who was brought up very privileged, very lucky with my upbringing. I was able to get hand-me-downs from my siblings, but I did also have lots of new clothes that were my own. And it really was very special to me when I got something, particularly anything that was handmade that I knew was made with love. And I thought it would be really nice to be able to give that gift to somebody else. I found out about this project from Madi, who has a YouTube channel, Madi Sews. If you're not familiar with her, you do want to check her out for a whole host of reasons, but particularly for this project, she's got a playlist of videos and loads of video content herself about how you can support this project. She also has an Instagram, which is at Madi Sews for Curves, so you can have a look at some of the Project Dress a Girl things or just all kinds of great, fun, colorful things that she makes in general. This project is very dear to her heart and she has actually donated to them previously, and her hope was in the month of September to try to get 100 dresses made throughout the sewing community, not just herself, but getting other people involved, so other YouTubers, people on Instagram, friends and family who are not even on social media, and she managed to get over 100 dresses already, which is amazing. She asked a few YouTubers to make some videos just to hopefully spread the word a bit more, and that's why I'm here today. You may have worked out from the name, this project started primarily as being something for girls, but they did expand it to boys, so you can make shorts for boys or a dress for a girl. But I have really girly fabrics, and so I decided it made more sense to make some things for girls myself this time around. When they drop these clothes off for families, they do also take some time to talk to the families, talk to the parents about ways to avoid human trafficking. Now I know that that is something that is probably a big buzzword in the US, and I feel like there are a lot of things that can fall under the umbrella of human trafficking. But the reason why it particularly stood out to me is because I'm a midwife in London, and I have looked after a number of young women who have actually been trafficked into the UK. So they have been taken either in shipping crates, in the backs of trucks and lorries to the UK without their consent. They have been sexually abused and impregnated, and then I have looked after them in the pregnancy. It is a truly horrendous and heartbreaking thing to see, and if I can do anything that might help to avoid that happen to anybody else in the future, then I want to do what I can. I did have a look at the information that they share with the families, and I will say it looks like some really good, sensible, useful information, things that parents might not realize, particularly looking out for people that they might think they can trust, just making sure they are keeping their children safe. If you are interested in making clothes for this organization, like I said, I'm going to leave some links down below so that you can look a little bit more into the recommendations about how to do that. The key things is you want to make sure that you're making things that will be hard wearing, will last long, and will help to maintain that little girl or boy's dignity. So important things are, they recommend cotton fabric, 100% cotton fabric ideally. If not, a mix of cotton and polyester is okay as well. You also have to make sure that the fabric isn't sheer, because if they are somewhere where the sun is shining, they want to be able to maintain their dignity. They also don't want you to use anything with any fastenings, so no zippers, buttons, snaps, those kinds of things, because if they do fall off, most of the time they won't have an opportunity to replace them, and then sadly they're just not going to last as long. On the website they also give you some suggested patterns, so there's some free patterns that you can download from the website. They also list some big 4 patterns if you'd rather buy a commercial pattern. I know that Sam of Frugalissima also put together a video of some free downloadable sewing patterns you can get, and somebody actually created a sewing pattern for free specifically for this project, so I'll link to those down below so that you can make sure to check those out if you're interested. When I was looking at that website, initially I thought that those were the only ones that you could make, were things from that website. So I actually went and bought one of the sewing patterns when I was in the States, because Big Four patterns are a lot cheaper in the States than they are where I live in the UK. And I bought this New Look dress. So it's a really cute little dress, New Look 6504. There's a few different views. I decided to go with this one here at the bottom, which had a cute little ruffle detail. I thought that would be a nice extra contrast on there. And the fabric that I decided to go for was this 100% cotton. It's this seersucker gingham fabric. So gingham is usually too sheer, it's usually too lightweight, so most of the ginghams I was looking at weren't going to be suitable. But this one, because it's seersucker, it has a little bit more of a texture to it, and it's a bit thicker as well. So I'll show it to you up close. You may not be able to see, there's a slightly kind of crinkly, waffly look to the fabric, and that is the nature of the seersucker. It's quite a small detail gingham, so I'm sure you can see a little bit in context. There's a cute tie detail here, which I chose to do on the cross grain. And then I added some pockets. They do recommend that you add pockets to these dresses, just because, I mean, who doesn't need pockets on a dress? But they want these little children to be able to keep their little special things in their pockets and keep them safe. So again, the pockets, I decided to sew on the cross grain there. I thought that was a cute contrast. And the same with my little ruffle detail on the bottom. So hopefully you can get a bit of an idea of what this looks like. I made this one for a 6-year-old girl, but I will say that probably the size will depend a little bit on the child. And then the next two that I made were actually adapted from t-shirt patterns, t-shirts that I've made previously for my nieces, so I know that they're generally true to size and they work well. I used them with fabric scraps, so I thought it was nice to be able to use up some of my scraps to be able to make something special for somebody when I might not have had enough of the scraps to make something for myself. Both of these t-shirt dresses came from the Love Notions classic girls tee pattern, and I hacked them to make them into a dress. So you could do this with any t-shirt pattern, so don't feel like it has to be this one, but I will say in my experience, it sews up really well, it's really true to size, so I do recommend it as a pattern for little girls in general. The first one I'll show you uses some scraps from the top that I'm wearing today, which is why I'm wearing it. This is the Tilly and the Buttons Agnes top in a really nice cotton jersey fabric with some pretty little rainbow details on the fabric. I will say that it's more of a muted rainbow pattern. I'll show you close up so that you can get an idea of what the fabric is like. But as you can see, we've got some cute pink and brown and black, and if you may or may not be able to see, a nice sparkly silver on there, because who doesn't need a little bit of glitter and sparkle in their lives? And this was used just from the scraps that I had left over from this top. So this is a t-shirt, as you can see, basic t-shirt pattern. I ended up going for 3/4 length sleeves just because that was as much as I could get out of the fabric, and I was trying to make the most of it. I decided to add a little gathered section just under what I would say approximately is going to be the waist. So I just measured 1.5 length of what this measurement was all the way around, so 1.5 the circumference, and gathered that into place. I did trim this, wouldn't be the bottom of the t-shirt, so I went, I think it was about 3.5 or 4 inches down, just to make sure that there was a little bit of the body before it got to the skirt section. And I also added some pockets, some little patch pockets, so there are a little cute rounded edge patch pocket, a couple of those on there. This one I decided to make for age 5, so a little 5-year-old girl, so hopefully that will make someone really happy. I think it's a really sweet dress. And the third dress that I made is using some scraps from my Journey raglan hoodie. So I've got a striped hoodie sweatshirt that I used contrast cotton fabric, so it's just plain cotton fabric on the inside of the hood and the facing, and it's on the cuffs and the pocket sections as well. So I got quite a bit of this with the intention of making a t-shirt for myself at some point, but I felt like this is more important. Someone can use this and get some joy from it. But I didn't want to have just a solid color. I thought that might be a little bit less fun for a kid. I wanted to have something to just zing it up a little bit. So I also used some scraps from a tank top that I've made before. So I didn't have huge scraps, but I didn't actually need to have huge scraps for this, so it was a good way to use up those little odds and ends of the cotton jersey that I had. And this one I hacked a little bit more. So I did add that gathered section on the bottom of the skirt, but I also added a cute little ruffle onto the shoulder seam. I might just take this out of here because I feel like it's probably making this shoulder look larger than it is. I don't have a little teeny tiny hanger, so I'm trying to make the most of what I've got, but I'll just hold it up so that you can see. I added this cute little contrast ruffle section on each of the sleeves. And the way that I added these ruffles is I used a guide that from Seamwork. Seamwork have a video about how to add a gather to anything or a ruffle to anything. It's a really great guide, and I think they said to add kind of 1.5 inches from where you want it to fold to make sure it's big enough, but I went for 1 inch because it's just going to be sized down for a little girl. But I thought that that was a really cute detail. This one is going to be a full-length sleeve with my little gathered section, like I said. But to tie it with this little ruffled section, I added some cute heart patch pockets as well. So it all, I think, looks like a really super cute combo. I know I would love to wear this dress. It might be a little bit too cutesy for me, but I do hope that a little girl will enjoy it. And this one I decided to make for age 4, a 4-year-old girl. So I think that's a really sweet one as well. One thing that they do also ask you to do when you're making these dresses, they do like you to add pockets because it's really important for them that there are pockets for those kids to have. But they also have a sewing label that they ask you to put on the front of the dress in a prominent place. And that just helps any predators to know that these families have been given information and they are not good targets for them. I don't actually have the sewing labels. I have asked Jackie for mine, but she hasn't actually given them to me yet because she's waiting for her stock to come in. So once I get them, I will stitch them onto the front of these dresses and then I will send them off to Jackie so that she can share them wherever they're most needed. When I contacted Jackie, she did mention to me that they're actually going to be giving these ones out, the batch that they get now, within the UK. So they were looking for some more cold weather, autumnal, winter type dresses, which is why I ended up going for the jersey dresses that I did. As I said, I found out later on that I can really use any sewing pattern that doesn't have fastenings. And for me, just for my own comfort in the winter times, I prefer to wear a jersey dress, just feel nice and cozy in that. And I thought that somebody else might feel the same. So hopefully some girls can get a lot of joy out of these things that I've made. If you decide to make a dress for the Project Dress a Girl, particularly in the month of September, I would ask that you can let Maddie know so that she can keep a tab on how many dresses have been made in this period for her project. You can tag her on Instagram. Again, she's at Maddie Sews for Curves over on Instagram, or you can also just drop her an email if you're not on Instagram. So I believe her email is hello@maddiesews.com, but I'll put that all on the screen here so that you can find her if you want to. I do want to say a huge thank you to Maddie for bringing this project to everyone's attention and for working so hard to get everybody excited and interested in making these dresses. I really hope that it has inspired some of you to take part. If you do decide to make something, let me know in the comments down below. Tag me over on Instagram as well if you decide to make something. And I hope that you all are doing really well, looking after yourselves and looking after others as much as you can. If you're new to my channel and you liked my video today, please do consider subscribing, give me a like so that other people can help find my videos as well, and I will see you all very soon. Bye!